I'm back, and this time I've got my daughter Abigail with me. Tomorrow is her first birthday, so we are going to make her first birthday cake. I am making a chocolate cake with chocolate frosting for this little one. She's never had chocolate. We're very excited about it. So I'm gonna go let her play, and then we'll get baking. Hi everyone. Okay, I just washed my hands and now I'm ready to start baking. The recipe I'm using today is Hershey's Perfectly Chocolate Cake. It comes on the back of the cocoa powder box, so we're following this exactly. I actually have it written out and printed out where it's easier for me to read. First thing, I'm gonna add my dry ingredients into the mixture. It's 2 cups of sugar, 1 3/4 cup flour, and 3/4 cup cocoa powder. All right. To these dry ingredients, I'm also going to add baking powder, baking soda, and salt. It's 1½ teaspoons each, baking soda and baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'll go ahead and put those in now. Okay. I keep forgetting that I need to turn on the oven so it can preheat. The oven's going to be at 350 degrees. All right, this is all of my dry ingredients. I'm gonna turn on my mixer just to get them all ready to go before I add my wet ingredients. Okay, this is all mixed up. Now it's time for those wet ingredients. I learned my lesson from the last time, and I'm going to crack my eggs into a bowl just in case I get any shells this time. 1, 2, and I did get some shell in there, but that easily comes out, so we're all good. All right, so my eggs are gonna go in here along with 1 cup of milk and ½ cup of vegetable oil. This is going to mix together on medium speed for 2 minutes, and while I do that, I'm going to go boil some water because that's the other ingredient that goes in here. All right, this is doing pretty well, but I need to stop the mixer and scrape down the sides so it all gets well incorporated. Okay, I use my electric kettle to boil some water. I need 1 cup of boiling water. Kids, this is hot, so be careful and have an adult around just so you don't burn yourselves. Carefully pour your boiling water into your bowl. We're gonna mix this all, turn on the mixer and mix this all together. The batter is going to be thin, but I promise it's delicious. All right, now that the batter is done, it's time to focus on the pan that we're actually gonna bake this in. I usually make a layer cake 2 9-inch rounds, but since it's my daughter's first birthday, I have this super awesome pan that can make a cake in any shape, letter, or number that I want. So we'll be making the number 1 for my daughter's first birthday. This is what the pan looks like. It's got a whole bunch of different pieces that go into it to create the number 1. And I have laid parchment paper and sprayed everything with cooking spray. So I'm going to fill this pan with 2/3 full with batter. So, all right. All right, it's a little messier than I expected. Like I said, I've never used this pan before, but I'm sure I can trim off anything extra and still make a really pretty cake. All right, so I have more batter than I was expecting, so I'm going to make a couple of cupcakes in addition to the cake. So I'm going to use paper cupcake liners, and I'm going to fill them about 2/3 full. Guys, I have a confession to make. I messed up on the recipe. We were putting everything away. I have cupcakes ready to go in the oven, and I forgot vanilla extract. The recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Don't forget this. Please, don't forget this. All right, it came out of the oven. It took about 28 minutes for this cake to bake. I have cupcakes in the oven right now. I'm going to let this cool. I'll also take the cupcakes out when they're ready, and we'll let them cool completely before we get to frosting them. All right, so the cake turned out beautifully. It came out of the pan quite easily, and I was also able to get 6 cupcakes. Now it's time to make the frosting. So for the frosting, we start with a 1/2 cup of melted butter, so that's 1 stick, 2/3 of a cup of the same cocoa powder we used before. We'll use 3 cups of powdered sugar. We won't forget the vanilla this time, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a third of a cup of milk, and we'll mix those together. So first we do the butter and the cocoa powder. I don't even care that that's rambling. So I have my butter and my cocoa powder in here. So I'm going to mix that until it's nicely combined. You can see it getting all nice and shiny and dark there. Now we are going to alternate adding powdered sugar and milk. So a little bit of powdered sugar, a little bit of milk. It gets a little bit messy, so I like to turn off the mixer before I add in the powdered sugar, about a cup at a time. So. See what I said about messy? So we'll mix that. Now a little bit of milk. The milk helps it to become all smooth. Nice frosting. All right. Take that down a notch. Ooh. There we go. So I just put in the last of the powdered sugar. I'm gonna put in a little bit more milk. Let it all go. Now we just watch. You wanna make sure there's no more lumps. Okay. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm not gonna forget the vanilla extract this time. So a teaspoon of vanilla extract goes in. And we keep beating. I'm gonna scrape the sides to make sure I get all of that good chocolate and powdered sugar mixed in. So I actually needed to add another cup of powdered sugar. It's pretty warm in our house, our air conditioning broke, so this was really runny, and I needed it to be a little bit thicker so it would spread on nice and not fall. So I think this is ready to go now. So that was 4 cups of powdered sugar total, and it's a great consistency. So when I frost a cake, I like to use a nice offset spatula like this so that I can get everywhere, and it makes it so much easier. You could also use a butter knife if that's all you have. I am going to coat this whole thing, the sides and the top, with my frosting. Short, smooth strokes to make sure that you don't lift up any of that crumb. Okay, so I finished frosting. Looks a little messy, so I'm going to use a paper towel that's just ever so slightly damp and clean up around the edges, just so I can wipe up the frosting and make a much smoother edge. So I'm gonna go around and do that for the whole cake. What's a birthday without sprinkles? Just a nice little touch to make it festive. Perfect. All right, I'm done frosting my cake. I have more frosting and a couple of cupcakes. I love to use a decorating bag and a fancy, ooh, gonna have to wash that before I use it, but I like to use a fancy decorating tip. This is my favorite little kit. It's what got me started in decorating cupcakes. It makes it so easy, and there's even instructions on how to use it. So I'll show you how I like to decorate cupcakes after I go wash that. So I have a pastry bag full of frosting, and I'm ready to start piping. You're gonna hold the tip straight up and apply gentle pressure along the edge, starting on the outside, and work your way in. Keep it nice and steady. And release. I have plenty of frosting, and who doesn't love a lot of chocolate frosting? So I'm gonna go around for a second round and add more frosting to each cupcake. Thank you guys so much for joining me in making my daughter's first birthday cake. I hope she really enjoys it tomorrow. It's gonna be so much fun to watch. I can't wait to see her smash into this. Thank you guys so much for joining. Take care.